Okay, this guy actually makes good videos and he actually does research and he's not an asshole about it. So I'm actually gonna watch his videos. Why am I sub to him? Why am I so random? But I remember this video because it was like a one random like Japanese video I saw him talking about like a Japanese drama. Really well made actually. Parties, yes, actually really good. I'm not gonna lie. You know what? Just so you can see his thing in the video.
I found some
Reacting to I expose Japan's broke influencer scam. Interesting. Interesting. I like this guy's videos. Actually, really nice. Honestly.
something crazy.
But what do you mean,
Recently,
like, what do you mean, broke influencer scam? What does that even
I
mean?
exposed the fake salaryman grift, where people in Japan were scamming their audience by pretending to be overworked Japanese salarymen while begging for donations. However, while I was digging through these salarymen and figuring out the inconsistencies by finding the rental offices these guys faked their videos in, I realized this fake poverty rabbit hole went much deeper than I thought. During my research, I came across this woman. The interesting thing about her content was that while she wasn't pretending to be a salaryman, her approach was seemingly almost identical. The videos she made were also silent vlogs without narration, and the way we got to learn about her was through the subtitles at the bottom.
Okay, this reminds me of the genre of like the food eating vlogs where they would go eat food, but then they started doing this because it's like it's like easy for second monitor and it's like calmer for people who are like overworked and stressed. So you can watch it at like a cafe or like at a bar when you're alone. Like most people like eat alone nowadays and like bars and stuff. Or bar I mean like as like the food when you go to like the thing there's like a sitting area at the corner where you can like sit on like benches.
The
That
crazy
bar, I
thing
don't know
was
what.
that even though she had only put out 4 videos so far, she had already gone extremely viral and received thousands of dollars in donations. That's when I realized that the salaryman grift that I had exposed earlier was only a part of a much bigger grifting network, and even this woman was only one of the hundreds of similar people using her videos to scam her audience. So, how can a silent YouTube vlog be a scam? To find that out, we have to look very closely. In her videos, she claims to be a 31-year-old divorced housewife who had to move up to the cold north after her husband left her. According to her, she is extremely lonely, as even her parents have disavowed her for being a failure, and the only thing she has in her life are her 2 rabbits and the heater to give her warmth. When watching her videos, it seems that every day is a life and death struggle for her, as she barely has money to survive, and in each of her videos, she's either dying of cold or hunger in her nice apartment. In this video, she claims to be so hungry that she can't even remember the last time she had a proper warm meal. Tired and weak, she collapses to the floor and starts going through her wallet, where she only has a couple of dollars left. She decides to go to her car in order to go to the supermarket, but what's even worse is that she has almost no gasoline left. Having no other option, she starts driving, but then realizes halfway through that if she keeps driving, she won't have enough gas to go to work tomorrow. Calling this a pinch is an understatement. This is a life or death crisis. She then teleports back to her apartment and starts going through her items to find something to sell. Tears almost well up, but she doesn't even have the luxury to cry. After all, right now she needs 1 liter of diesel more than any shining memories. However, one thing catches my eye in this scene. Now, I don't know much about fashion, but I could swear that is a Michael Kors leather tote. I'm not saying it's impossible for a poor lonely woman to own luxury items or to be able to teleport, but this kind of dramatic storyline about life or death while owning the latest iPhone and expensive fashion does make me think, how much truth there actually is to these videos. Because this isn't a thing that's happened once or twice, since if you pay close attention to her videos, you'll notice that for someone who is on the verge of dying to hunger and barely scraping by alone in the cold north, she does have a slightly expensive taste, as can be seen in this video where she is telling her audience how poor she is by showing how she has no money left in her wallet. But then, when you search that wallet online, you'll find out that it costs almost $1,000. Which is why I feel like this video should be shown in English classes as the dictionary definition of irony. And if you're thinking she isn't actually being serious with the life or death thing, here she is withdrawing her supposed low-income salary from an ATM to put in an envelope, and while she is driving back home with the money, she says that if something happens with the envelope and she loses it, next month she will die. And do any of you still out there questioning? In the next sentence, she makes it very clear. She's not speaking metaphorically or exaggerating. She will literally die. Which begs the question, why withdraw the money in cash in the first place? Oh, I get it. To count it on camera, of course. That way we can all see exactly how little money she has left and help her by donating. I hope this helps you have a nice meal. Just a little something to help you see to better days. I wish I could do more from the other side of the world. Makes me want to
Insane
cry at
levels
how
of
many
donations.
kind
What
people
the fuck?
there are in the world. Humanity will be okay. I truly believe in the end.
Actually,
Now, I
insane
would have
levels of
thought no
donations,
one
huh?
would believe in these
$200?
videos, and not because of the inconsistencies or anything like that, but because
Okay, let's keep it a buck. A lot of these things, like, you need more context because there's a lot of things people own and you don't know about. Like, for example, right? Let's look at this, for example, right? He was talking about, like, bags and stuff. There is a possibility that you have something beforehand and then you lose your money. And then you have less amount of money after rationing everything, after the things that come up with, like, bills and stuff, because you already own it previously and then you have to spend more money, which you weren't the one who was earning earlier. Then it goes on. So this is literally what was the context and where everything was given, and you don't know the context. There is a possibility that there are actual problems. But the thing where he said, like, envelope and, like, the envelope thing, yeah, maybe it makes more sense because usually what people have is a savings account. You just put things into your savings account rather than having it in cash. Why would you keep it in cash? Unless there's this thing where, like, people are like, I don't trust the bank, okay, the old school way. But if you lose it, it is worse because then you go back to zero. Because then it's actual GG.
calling these videos dramatic would be an understatement, as they are completely unrealistic to anyone who actually bothers to read the subtitles below. Not only are the storylines completely ridiculous, but the way the subtitles are written are so over the top, it's actually borderline comedic. Observe. The cold. The Sub-Zero world slapped my flushed cheeks. The few seconds it took for the engine to start felt like an eternity. Just intense nausea and magma-like anger swirled inside me. Smells I used to love now choked me like toxic. What the fuck? Who's that guy? It would seem like the lonely divorced woman isn't actually that lonely after all, considering she has a guy helping her film these dramatic videos about her quote-unquote real life. The reason these videos are written so over the top is because the subtitles are generated using ChatGPT, which has a trouble understanding the line between a romance novel and a YouTube video. The AI often even hallucinates things to the woman's story, and I have no idea why she doesn't fix these when she's editing the video, because in here, for example, the AI came up with this poetic idea of how the smell of the kerosene coming from the heater feels like the smell of burning money, which is a cool idea, but sadly her heater doesn't smell of kerosene because, well,
It's electric here.
electronic.
Yeah.
I've seen some people make the claim that the reason these kind of grifting videos have such complex English is because the people doing this are all Chinese government-backed foreigners trying to make Japan look bad, and I'm just going to say there's a simpler explanation. When the silent, faceless, low-effort videos that anyone could film on their phone started getting millions of views and tens of thousands of dollars in donations,
LARPing, yeah.
it's no surprise people jumped on the trend. If something gets popular on the internet, people simply tend to follow the money.
Yeah, it's LARPing,
and
yeah.
ironically,
That's literally
these
just
people
LARPing.
making these conspiracy claims are
Actual
proving my
LARPers.
point for also wanting to make a video
Big
about
LARP,
this after
big
mine
LARP.
started to get
What the frick
popular.
is that? What
And
the
to be
hell?
clear,
Ahana.
a handful of these channels are run by foreigners too, because from what I've seen, roughly 4 out of the top 20 people doing this don't appear to be Japanese. But the point I want to make is that this thinking that no Japanese person could ever do anything wrong is the whole reason people are falling for these obvious scams and donating money to these people in the first place. I don't care what nationality people are, tricking your audience like this is obviously paying 50 cents more.
What's the point of this?
Claim she made. In her video, where she goes over her supposed budget, she makes the claim that getting rid of the car is simply impossible because the supermarket is a 30-minute walk away and walking in a blizzard means getting stranded. In other words, going to a supermarket without a car would be a death sentence and she'd immediately die to a blizzard. Which is a funny thing to say when anyone can very clearly see from her videos that she lives in a nice and affluent big modern city. Now, I was actually able to find exactly where she lives, and all I had to do was pay close attention to the landmarks in her videos, after which I just figured out which way she was driving and compared them to each other on the map. But for obvious reasons, I'm not going to share that information with you guys. Just trust me when I say that where she lives, there's plenty of supermarkets, and going outside, it's not a death sentence. Actually, the only snow-related death I could find in the whole area was from years ago when an old woman had a heart attack while showing snow in her driveway. I would say a good rule of thumb with these kind of videos
That's literally, I'm not gonna dox, but then posts like the thing that could literally give you the exact location of the city that she's in and dox it. What?
is that if someone is visibly counting their money on camera to show their audience how little they have, I would be very much suspicious because I don't know about you guys, but I would say most people today pay their rent, electric bill and car insurance straight from their bank account instead of mailing it in an envelope.
It's pretty much auto payment at this point, literally auto payment, and they some like landlords won't even take cash or like checks. They take it over like bank transfer, and the thing they do is what they do is they send you a receipt from like the thing. So what usually will happen was like, for me is like, not for here, from different, they give you like electronic receipts if it's like through a company, but if it's like a person like self-owned, rather than like going through like a publicly like a company that owns it, for example, and then they do like accommodations and stuff. If it's like a normal person, they give you like a receipt of transaction that received, so they sign it and confirm that you received this, and then you sign that you received this amount, and then they give you that receipt, and then they give it to the bank that yes, this is the amount has been paid for the month's rent, and I'm confirming that it has been paid, and then they give you like a slip that you paid the rent, because you already signed an agreement that you will be providing a receipt for the payment of each rent every single month. And most of them don't take cash because there is a possibility of fraud and lies and fake fake things, and it's easier to keep track because in cash you can't keep track of cash. For electronic transfers, there's literally like the bank has like all the information through the electronic transfers, and if you do it is usually through a check and not cash. It's changed a lot, but some people still do cash, but that's a whole different story.
Which means that whenever these people withdraw money,
It is usually safer to do it outside of just cash. Cash is like more for hotels and stuff because you're just staying for like a few days and stuff.
to play with it in front of the camera, they cannot be that poor if they can afford to use a couple $1,000s as props on their videos. Now, like I said before, there are an incredible number of people doing these kind of videos, and when I've talked about this before, I've gotten so many comments about how I'm completely wrong about this or that specific YouTuber
LARPing.
and how they're totally legit, only for me to check them out and realize they're still pretending to be poor after receiving over $20,000 in donations and blocking any comments questioning their legitimacy. And sure, the truth is, I don't know
20,000 was $20,000, brother. That's like, isn't that like almost a year's worth of salary? $20,000. Isn't like the average like around 30 plus? They already got like half, just more than half, just posting YouTube videos for like a few months. They get like a whole year, almost a whole year's worth combined with their actual jobs and in the ad revenue apart from the donations. Like, are you serious?
with a 100%
That's literally like almost a year's worth of like
certainty who's
salary.
faking exactly what. Which is why I would like to remind all of you that since all of this is alleged, it will be for the best to not harass any of these individuals, since my aim here is to not to do a
Okay, let's give it a buck. This is literally, this video isn't about like pulling out on like if they're actually like scamming or not. It's more like pay attention to this because this might just be a scam. It's like one of those things where like you see something, question something, you know? It's not like just see something, say nothing. It's like see something, say something type of video. Guess or something, huh? Apparently I can't see that comment, so I'm just gonna move on. Yeah.
would be able to drive if my life was hanging on the balance like hers and every day was a fight for survival. We can gather from the
I don't get it. Like, bro, I don't understand why it's like a hard concept. Like, you had it before, and let's say you got divorced. You got the car. Maybe like the person you were married to gave you the car and the divorce and the house. You just pay rent on it. Like, you pay rent to live. Like, you have a job. You're a grown ass woman. Like, acting like you have nothing. It would be worse if they didn't have a job. The whole thing is their own problem. They're just, what they're struggling with is a thing called life. So they're trying to complain that they have to live. Brother, that's life. You're literally showing what actual real life is. This is the equivalent of saying I don't have friends, but I have everything else in existence. How is that a problem? But just get friends. Go outside, talk to people, get friends. That is literally all you have to do. All this is complaining. This is literally like, brother, you're in the most blessed position. You have a house, you have a job, you have a car, you have heating, you have clothes, you have everything you need, and you're complaining still. At this point, there is nothing that can help you. The only thing that can help you is yourself. Like, I don't understand. Like, even me, I'm so blessed. I have everything. I can sit here at 25, going to university for my master's, not worrying about food, fucking water, this shit, the fucking, I have that in the background. I have fucking, I say I don't have Monster. 10 minutes later, no, 2 hours later, I have actual entire like case of 4 Monsters. Immediately, I didn't even ask anything. I was just joking as the joke. I was LARPing. I literally bought that, I drank it, and I thought it would be funny to post as a LARP video for funny ha-has. And literally 3 hours later, I have a whole ass case. Like, this is actually not broke. This is just, this is what they call this. Like, the actual definition of what this is they're depressed. This is depression, and the only thing they have to cope is make videos and LARP. That's the only thing they have. There's actual real life LARPers. They're LARPing being broke. Buddy, you're not broke. You're just shit at budgeting. Budget better. That's all you need to do. You're literally doing this thing called being an adult. That's literally all you're doing. You literally put yourself in a hole and then you complain that you're there. Like, you dug it yourself, you threw away the shovel, you jump in it, and now you're complaining you're stuck in a hole. Like, are you serious? At least you have a job. You have money and you have a car. Like, it is literally the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And people are actually helping you because you know what? Maybe you're actually struggling and there's actually problems that nobody will talk about and nobody will know, which is why they're giving it. It makes no sense to me that is that bad. Like, actually. Like, every time I see like streamers, YouTubers, content creators do stuff, I'm like, oh, I want to be a content creator. And then I see stuff like this and then other people like doing like some insane shit for clout. It makes me not want to post videos. Like, actually delete everything and disappear off the internet because of how low I am right now. Because this is the only time I can, if I want to exit, I can exit the internet and not a single person will care. That's why every time I reset my streams, every time, like I've had resets like 3 or 4 times, purely because of stuff like this happens. I think I'm at a point where I don't need to worry about that, but bro, it is just sad. Like how, like cloud is like the worst drug currently. It's like actually the worst thing that could happen to someone. Over stylized, over edited, over photoshopped, like thumbnail. Brother, the only way you can make this thumbnail is if you're good at editing and you have an editor and you have a good camera. They can take a picture good enough for you to actually do this. Like, there's no way he has time to do all this if he works. Like, actual AI pictures. These are actual, like, corporate, like, pushing. Like, actual corporate videos. There's no way. It's like, this is the equivalent of getting, like, Fred. Like, at the early years, we had Fred. Now we have actual LARPers using AI and actual companies paying for it. It is insane.